Inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
I was talking to somebody yesterday and they asked me, was I still on the bandwagon? And I told them, yeah, I'm still with OKC. I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon.
Man, it's gonna be a good game tonight.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good game tonight. Now, I do have to say some of them calls on both ends was real fishy.
I don't know if I was on OKC's team. They seem to be a really classy group of guys, but I would have walked past Matherin and go,
Yeah, he
missed 3 free throws. You went for 27, and then when the game was on the line, man, that's the pressure, man.
Yeah.
That's the pressure. He didn't quite Nick Anderson,
Yeah.
but it was 3 out of 4. Nick would miss 4, and Nick was shooting like 88, 87%.
Yeah.
Man, pressure.
Yeah,
Pressure,
man.
dude.
Pressure really do bust pipes.
Man, ooh.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be a good one, man.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one. I was telling Jay offline, I've been watching off and on all weekend the US Open. And Craig, I don't know if you're listening. If you are, please, and I get a chance to talk to Richard about it yesterday, Richard Badger. That has to be one of the most difficult golf courses in America. The winning score was 1 under. And then everybody else was over par. So you only had one person under par. That person ends up winning, even though he was 2+. But that golf course, man, it was no matter what, I don't care how skilled the golfers were, man, it was, you didn't see a lot of birdies, you didn't see a lot of eagles, a lot of pars and a whole lot of bogeys, a whole lot of people like, par 4 and that 7, so it was great to see, but it also tells you the level of skill that these golfers have. I guess Caitlin Clark had went out and said if she played that course, she'd shoot like 130, because, man, that's a difficult course.
It was, man.
And they ever talk about, there's another course in New York, I think it's called Bethpage, the Black Course, that's supposed, but this one, oh, man. And I know even Augusta, but it was nothing like Oakmont. That was so shout out to JJ Spawn. I think that's his first major. So get a chance to see that. I'm watching, every now and then you accidentally roll up on something that turns out to be great mindless entertainment. And I'm watching this. It's called Survival of the Thickest. It's on Netflix. And oh my God, it is real interesting. It's about this sister. She's West Indian descent. She's a stylist. She's into fashion, and so that means the spaces that she's in, which is really this incredible diverse space of people, multiracial, multi-gender. Obviously, it's a heavily queer space. She did a lot of styling for drag queens, but how people navigate life and the issues and these people, these 30 somethings, approaching 40. And that's a whole nother different piece out there that a lot of people, you get into now, you're really on the downside of the mountain, right? And to be able to deal with those things, to deal with issues around menopause, depression. It's so it was good. It was mindless. It's called Survival of the Thickest, which is on Netflix. Also, and I didn't even know why I was even liking it. Okay, here come Craig. Get him. Hey, Craig, what's happening, man?
Hey, brothers. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you asked about the golf course as it relates to the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So let me say this, just to preface my comments. The USGA or the grounds crew can make any golf course difficult to play. Similar to that. Now, the caveat here is that the course layout, the number of hazards that are on a course would add to that. But when they allow the rough to grow 5 to 6 inches, did you see any other tournament at all?
Yeah, that's why I was talking about it.
Right. So here's the thing. No. My point is asking that question is this. When you saw the ball hit the rough and it just disappeared, right?
Yep.
Sinking down from, what you would normally see if they're in the fairway, the ball is sitting on top of the fairway, which is cut to about 3/8 of an inch, right? And that ball is seated on the top, which gives them clear access with their club face to the ball. But when it hits in that rough and it sinks down, you can equate it to being in like an overgrown field where you're looking for the ball and then you got to get down there and hack it out, right? And in 6 inches of grass that is closely grown together, all the blades are, Bermuda, they call them Kentucky bluegrass or whatever the grade or the strain of grass that they use at these different courses plays a part in it too. But at Oakmont, so it's the number of hazards. You saw that Church Pew bunker.
Church Pew bunkers, man.
Right.
I've never seen a bunker like that
north.
before.
They've got a course up north that has that hole on it. I've actually played it several times, and it's open to the public. And it's a replica course of many of the toughest holes in the world, or particularly on the PGA Tour. They've got several of the holes from Augusta that you mentioned, and Bethpage Black, and Firestone. So, just to give you a sense of, now you might recall, and I'm going to try to wrap this up. You might recall when Tiger first came here and they talked about implanted brown deer.
Right.
There was a period of time, during that, Tiger's early part of his career, where brown deer and the rough deer was considered to be a difficult course. And they used to have a PGA tournament there for that reason. And they can still make that course difficult to play, depending on how high they grow the rough, how much they narrow the fairway based on where they allow the rough to grow out to. Those are the kinds of things that bring difficulty into a tournament.
So let me ask, but that's historically been a very difficult golf course.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Because of the way they set it up.
Okay.
Right. And another thing is, like they talked about the speed of the greens. You saw how big those greens were. But it's the speed of them and the undulation or all of the contours in the green that present difficulty, because you got to read, where's that ball going to break if I hit it? And if it's rolling, like the stemp, this thing called the stemp reading, which is the speed the ball is going to move over a 3 foot, after it's dropped off of a 3 foot long, it's like an angle, a piece of angle iron, and they roll the golf ball down it, and then they get an idea of how fast they're gonna that putting green is gonna be based on how far it rolls off of that 3 foot piece of metal, if you will. And this thing was supposedly set up at like 15, from what I understood. So they basically are just touching the ball, and depending on where they are, that ball could roll. And that, for example, you saw the putt that he hit 64 feet to win it at the end. I don't know if you saw the actual ending of the tournament, but that was an amazing. I'm sitting here like, wow, just in shock.
Right.
Because
was that 18th hole?
Yeah. The final putt basically they gave him the margin that he needed for victory, which is 2
people were
strokes.
missing like 7-foot putts. I mean,
Yeah.
it when you looked at those scores and you going like, because I think when they started the day, there were 4-5 golfers under par.
Under par, right?
And
Right.
And and you always talk about who's coming back, people making a run, but and Spawn he was on the leaderboard going into Sunday, right? So
right,
yeah, I just thought I wanted to say, man, I wanted to, like I said, and I saw Richard yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it. But yeah, man, that one was whoa.
Oh, absolutely.
Whoa, that and as well it should be, because you're talking about, basically one of these is a major, it's a championship. Like I said, Augusta has its own thing in terms of, I'm learning, I'm not a golfer, but just sitting there watching and you're looking at it, and because I think it was both you and Richard had explained to me how that what is it, that the virtual golf that they were doing indoors, and how they could, with hydraulics, they could adjust, like the greens.
Right.
But man, and again, not a golfer, love to watch the majors, but I got a sense like on Friday, this is a difficult. There are not going to be a lot of real low scores here. Yeah, and it wasn't.
No. And let me share this part on with virtual golf or simulated golf. You cannot replicate some of these courses. For example, they talk about Augusta. There are no flat lies typically on that course. Most of the shots are like on a side hill, or the ball is below your feet or above your feet. That's the thing about Augusta, is that even on the fairway, it's sloped one direction or another. And there are a lot of courses like that. They talk about the Players course, TPC Sawgrass, which is another difficult one.
Is that the 17th hole? Is that the 17th hole?
Right,
the island.
It's known for that 17th hole.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But again, you can hear whistling straight. That course is a tough course to play because of where it's located, right off the lake, the wind blowing just like Pebble Beach.
Yep.
That just the environment and the wind blowing, with the right off of the shore like that, it creates a whole new challenge for these players.
What was the length of the par 3? Like 130? It's one of the longer par 3s, right?
Oh no, that would be a short one, actually, 130 yards. Were you talking about TPC?
No. Yesterday at Oakmont.
Well, if it's one of the longer ones, it's probably over 230 yards.
Yeah, I knew that was, and I don't know, and I guess it made sense. I think one of the shortest ones that they mentioned was something like 80 something feet.
Yeah.
But you got
80 yards.
But it was protected by bunkers, I think, in water, so to be able to hit that shot. A lot of time I'm just watching, listening, and learning about that, and I can see why people get addicted to golf, because just the challenge, man. I mean, if you just me and my godson, we were talking, and I was telling him about how when I first retired, he and I would play Wii golf, right?
Right.
And the good thing, you could play Tiger Woods, and you play all the best. I think they had Bethpage Black.
Right.
They had some other golf, but the difference is you don't get the sense of the weight of the club. You're not dealing with the weather, because at one point it was raining.
Right.
But the one dude was really smart when, he could have took the shot. He said, well, no, let me go back to my bag. Because I don't know if he got wind that they were getting ready to shut it down because of the rain. And he said, let me, but then when you're looking at some of those greens and other than lightning, if it's raining, you still play professionally,
you still
right?
have to play. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Unless it's like just pouring down and, the ball won't roll. You saw them with the squeegees out there clearing water away. So, and that'll give you some idea of how the designing of some of these courses, is made to drain water off. so that they can continue to play. But again, man, I'm one that's of the belief that the USGA and the superintendents, the grounds crew, they can set up. Now, this takes into consideration the level of what they call the slope rating on the course, which is determined by how many hazards are on it, and then the greens and how those greens can be set up to roll fast, right, with the undulation. So that's where the slope ratings are determined based on what the average golfer would shoot on a course like Whistling Straits compared to a course like Curry. The slope rating at Whistling Straits is going to be higher than it is at Curry, meaning the average golfer is going to, come away. I think something you were saying, Caitlin Clark or whoever it was that made a reference to playing at Oakmont. Even the pros, Rory, I think the first day he said that, or something to the effect of, a recreational golfer might shoot 140 there. Rory shot 80, and that was like terrible, 81. And when you play or even have ever walked or swung a club on a golf course, you can start to understand why. Because like you were saying, to be able to hit a ball 80 yards and drop it inside of 10 feet of a pin, 10 feet in the 10-foot diameter around that pin on any hole is going to be difficult. I don't care if you're playing at Lincoln or if you're playing at Whistling Straits. You still got to make the shot, and it's the accuracy over that distance. And so, to that skill level, but then when you see these guys trying to hit the ball out of that rough and to get it to stop on some of these greens, when the greens are running fast, and then the slope on some of the greens that'll take the ball in one direction or the other, if you're not as accurate as you need to be, particularly wherever they might place the pin. They got a pin placement for a Sunday tournament like that, where it's close to the edge, and if you don't hit it, 20 feet to the left or 10 yards to the left of the pin placement, it's going to roll back off and down into a bunker. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they can do to set these courses up for a major tournament. And to me, that's the beauty of it, is how difficult can they make it? Because then you get a chance to really see the skill level of these guys. And when they're on, and anybody can win at that. When you're in the top 25, top 100 golfers in the world, anybody can win on any given weekend, depending on how they're hitting the ball. And you'll find another, I'll go with this. The U.S. Open, the Open or the British Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship being the four majors. And so they set those courses up to test the skill level of the best golfers in the world. And that's what you got when you saw this U.S. Open over the weekend. Well, it was a great tournament for me.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I watched the majors, certainly. But, I just wanted your thoughts on it. And I'll see Richard tonight. I'll definitely get his thoughts on it. What he thought, man. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, for sure.
All right.
Be well, family.
All right, man. All right. Thank you, Craig Stingley. Yeah, depending on, where people are, man, in golf, and I know a lot of people watch it, but, and for many of us, it was Tiger Woods, but Tiger got me watching. I know Tiger ain't coming back, but to be able to see these other golfers and see the course, man, anytime I got a chance to, speaking of kind of real quickly, I got a chance to see a guy, good brother, man, we started off, man, down in 5-3-2-1-2, played against each other at AFY football, played against each other high school basketball. He was at Mesmer. But to see Kevin Richardson yesterday was good. Have a great conversation. And his son was with him, and we were talking about LeBron James, right? And and it was ironic we were having this conversation on Father's Day. So the question was, he was like one of the people out there who wasn't real cool with, Bronny getting the contract with the Lakers. And I didn't realize this because was he second round? Okay. Cool. So yeah. Okay. Um. so what was I going to say? Oh, anyway. So whether or not, so we have this conversation on Father's Day, and so yeah, we start on Father's Day, and so I said, I'm not a dad, but his issue was, well, you're taking. There's a kid who could have been that. What was he? The 50? What was 50?
He was last big
Second round.
Second round 40.
What I did not know was he's the only second rounder with a guaranteed with guaranteed contract, so and so my thing was, well, I'd probably do the same thing for my son. And I was telling him how difficult it was for me. Me and Rhonda had a son. I come home and go like, I'm going to do the right thing. And little Keith is just going to have to learn. And she, what? Get that boy a job. Like we sit up and talk about finances and Giannis. How you going to go home? You might have some influence on your brother working. Nah, Mom, we're going to do the right thing. Jermaine Rideout is more deserving that spot. You don't get out my man, I'm getting ready to kill. What you talking about, man? So I was one of the people. So his son was there with him, and I was kidding him. I said, hey. I said, his son is Diamante. They said, hey, man, if I was your dad, I would get you the contract. Now, but it was interesting, and it was a great conversation to have on Father's Day. What do we do for our children? And I knew that, you get into, well, we make, because, let us tell it, this generation's so soft, right? They just soft. But I'm going like, well, hell, they used to call us soft, right? Yeah. So every generation that comes after is soft. But man, if you're in a position where, and then you know what? If it's up to Bronny, how Bronny handles it. And it looks like to me, Bronny has handled it pretty well. And so, yeah.
Bronny. I still think he should be in the G League because it's really hurting his stock and his future. But that's quite different for him to get a guaranteed second round, and
okay,
you the only one that got the guarantee. But
Well, yeah, and I would look, which got me on my, my whole Black Power racist piece, where I'm going, well, what about the McConnells of the world?
TJ.
What about the AJ Greens of the world? I'm sorry, man. I mean, go at your boy.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, Hartenstein. Everybody's talking about, well, he sets great picks. We paying this dude $87 million for a pick.
To set picks.
And I told somebody, and I'm sorry I'm on this rant again, but listen tonight, everything TJ McConnell does, you would have thought this dude dropped 30, had 11 assists.
Yeah.
Dude had like 5-6 points. Oh boy, he was the different. Oh, really?
Yeah. You right, man. I mean, they kind of
that grinds my gears.
It's the market.
Yeah,
because you blow him up
market.
so we can get the bread at the end of the season.
Dellavedova.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Dude had one game.
And
one
the Bucks
game.
signed him for all that money.
Well, but he was also very fortunate. That was the Mike Conley year where a lot of players got overpaid that year. So then when it started with Mike Conley getting $153 million. So it started there. But no, man, and maybe I'm being hypersensitive. Excuse me for being Ralph Tresvant. But I'm listening, man. I be hearing that. And at first I thought, oh, man, Keith, it's just you, brother. You just one of those angry revolutionaries from the 60s, brother. You need to let it go, man. No.
You in there.
No, son. I'm tearing up the studio, man.
Smack the mic.
And the only reason why I'm cheering for Caruso is he matches up against TJ McConnell. So that's but Am I wrong, fellas?
No, Doc, you right, man.
Am I?
You are 110% right, man.
Oh, I got a caller here before I go. Got me on a rant. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, I'm sorry. Let me tone it down.
All right.
Hello?
Yep.
T,
Yep.
I hate to bust your bubble.
Okay.
Hardenstein is black.
No,
Is
he's
he?
not.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Google him. Google his daddy. You're going to start laughing.
I got to take him off the list.
Real quick. I had my brothers rolling the other day. They said, no, he ain't Greg. I said, yes, he is. Google him.
Oh, Lord, I got to take him off the list, man. Come on, man.
He called himself, hey, he had me rolling. He said he called himself Light Bright.
I also pointed out something that Jermaine had said to me talking about Dante, where he was the white Michael Jordan.
Said that.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo, the white Michael Jordan from Delaware.
From Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah, but first of all, there is no black Michael Jordan.
There's no black people in Delaware, I should say.
Right. Oh, there are black people in
I'm
Delaware.
playing.
Oh,
But
yeah,
see,
no.
in all honesty, you bringing him up, I wish the Bucks wouldn't have got rid of him, though.
Matthew Dellavedova?
Dante. Yeah, Dante, man. I like it. He got hustle.
You know,
man.
Dante just had some misfortune, man. That injury, going right in on the championship run, but he got a ring. Yeah. And then his contract was attractive for that Karl Anthony Towns trade. So then he ends up in Minnesota. Yeah.
I like that commercial when all the boys he's from Villanova, right?
Oh yeah. They won a national championship.
Right. Well, three of them are on the Knicks now. Three of them are on the Knicks, and they walking down the hallway, and then they see him, and they stop, and he kind of looking sad, and they toss him a hat. I love that commercial.
Yeah, Villanova hat.
Hey, but if I was him, man, I'd have took that hat and threw it back to him. It's like a Dave Chappelle reacting to that commercial. I'd have threw it back to him and cussed him out. Like, y'all traded me, punks.
And I'm gonna get off with this, Keith. I know you what I told my son the other day. I said, we don't see ourselves as other people see us.
Right.
Keon wasn't the only one that can get you on 13. You need to stop that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Now, maybe Keon got you to 15.
Well, Keon purposely did it, though. He just be waiting for the right spot, especially if I got my little mellow groove going on here. And then he say something, and then, because he get Michelle going. That dude was, man, he brought gasoline to a fire a whole lot. Because sometimes because I'm a mellow dude, man.
No, you're not.
I'm just,
let's
chill.
You be get mad at me. You get loud with me at times, and I'll be like, what?
I'm just a mellow, kind of fella, and then you guys provoke me. I remember there was a episode of Beverly Hillbillies where they were doing this whole wrestling thing, right?
So they get you to 14.
And then, so they trying to get Granny, but Granny don't want to wrestle, right? Granny is talking about her whole Christian thing, and she says, "I have not been provoked," right? And they just do all they could. Dude picked Granny up and threw her through the door. Jen said, I think she's provoked. I think she's provoked.
I'm gonna let y'all go back.
I appreciate
I had to bump on Hardenstein. I knew.
I didn't realize that he got to come off the list, man.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, man. Dude, Arsenio Hall told this joke about Larry Bird, and he was doing a little hating on Larry Bird. I don't care what anybody say. Larry Bird is one of the greatest basketball players ever to play the game, period. And certainly if you know the game, Larry Bird knew how to play the game, right? And so he was saying, it was something that Larry Bird had a conversation with somebody 2 weeks ago, and it came into fruition during the game. That's kind of what we get with TJ McConnell. Because when you look up because they posting his look all the time, right? They're going at him defensively, AJ Green. They're going after, but I ain't gonna put that on AJ Green because they also go after Steph Curry that way.
Steph Curry,
Jalen Brunson. How you go after Karl Anthony Towns? He's another. How you that big?
Because to be honest with you, Keith, none of these cats play defense, man. Like none of these cats play defense.
Okay, now you do know our mantra. We don't pay Jim Brown to block.
Yeah, but if you're gonna say that it's a defensive weakness and this person is the defensive weakness, to be honest with you, the whole team is a defensive weakness because don't nobody play deep.
No,
well, I mean, outside of
these
Giannis,
two teams do.
I mean, but outside of Giannis playing how he played, you really don't see defense like that no more.
We don't pay Jim Brown to block.
But I get it though.
We don't pay Giannis to play defense.
But I get it.
And if he plays, that's a bonus.
Right.
But we don't pay him for that.
But why cry about and say such and such had no defense? Yeah, it has to be.
I look, I know some people don't like this, but I really do believe in the star system. If you the star,
don't play defense.
Like I tell you this about Damian Lillard. His one-on-one defense is not bad.
Yeah, because he actually blocked what's the name shot.
Yeah, I mean he got quick hands, but
and he can jump.
We don't pay Damian Lillard to play defense. We pay him for 28 points a game.
So question. Why do they pay Ben Simmons? Because he don't do nothing. He just come out there.
It's called the NBA and guaranteed contracts.
I mean, but he got several of them.
I know.
Even after they knew he couldn't do nothing.
Was it Philly that messed him up? Because who was the number one pick overall that Philly got? It was Fuchs something. Markelle Fultz.
I mean, but he couldn't shoot
when he got to Philly.
Yeah.
Doc
and
Rivers
when he
messed
went to
up Ben
Orlando.
Simmons.
Yeah, because when he's in college, dude was a beast.
Yeah, he was killing in college. But even in Orlando, he was trash. Like he ain't even.
But he went to Atlanta after Philly. But by that time, his head was already messed up. Ben Simmons right now, it's in his head. It's not. This guy is gifted.
Man, he would drive to the basket and pass the ball like he'll go for a layup and pass the ball like he's scared to shoot the ball.
He was wide open one time.
Yeah,
Dude pulled up and shot the three. They wouldn't even pass him the ball because they don't think he can even hit that layup.
Yeah.
But that's more psychological. I think the same thing with folks that it was something happened. You know, it was like back in the day. I played baseball. Remember Ryan Sandberg? He was playing second base. He couldn't throw the ball to first base. Yeah. Ryan Sandberg, I think, is a Hall of Famer, but he had this period where he could not throw it. Psychologically, something happened, man, and he couldn't do it.
Understand it. That's crazy.
All right. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
My Chevy.
You get your Stevie and Ray on over there. I can't feeling that thing, man.
Oh man. So anyway, so again, I think I have a guest coming in, so let me kill some more time. Hey Byron, man, this is your second Father's Day, right?
First, officially.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
That's
to you,
right,
brother.
because baby came during the resource fair.
Yeah.
Say yeah. Say yeah.
Well, happy Father's Day to you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's real interesting, man, because yesterday people come up and they wish you a happy Father's Day, and people know I'm not a biological father. I don't know if somebody's up here talking about you the father a whole lot. Let's change how we say that, because my death or I hit the lottery, I'm gonna have all these chitlin out there I know anything about.
Man, I've been playing that song, man, that you had me play on Friday. That Color Him Father.
Oh, really?
I love that song.
You know what me and Rhonda was kind of singing on the way to church?
What's that?
Stop shouting.
Whisper
a prayer.
Stop yelling at the Lord.
We did that on the way to church. Oh man, whisper a prayer. But what else we got going on here, man? I was watching the end of the Brewers game yesterday.
Yeah, man.
And that dude barely got out of there. This dude had a 26, 27 pitch at bat.
Yeah.
Just kept fouling up. But yeah, but that dude can throw, man, because he's throwing like 100 miles an hour
each time.
Yeah, man, he can throw. But we'll see what's happening and Nelly is coming. Nelly's gonna be there with the Brewers. What is it, like the 26th?
Yeah. It's a Nelly concert
after the game.
So yeah, man, I'm going to the game so I can catch a free concert.
I thought politically though, man, we went down with Nelly. Man.
I ain't. I
didn't
just
Nelly
want
support Trump.
He did.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I'm just going because
Nelly. I mean, he's still great rapper. Bad politics, but great rapper. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I have one question. I love that hymn, a song that comes on in the morning with Keith Show. Mm-hmm. Is that a recording? Because it never complete. It goes off, and I'm wondering if there's more that goes with it.
Yes.
Where do you buy it? I would love to have it. When I hear it, I get close so I can hear the rest of it, but there's nothing left. But
I think we use we have a couple of versions. The original version of the song "Open Our Eyes" is by the Gospel Clefs. The Gospel Clefs.
CLIPS or
no CLEF. Clef, like musical clef, right? So
okay, clef, okay.
And then the other version that we play is Earth, Wind, and Fire's "Open Our Eyes."
Oh.
Yeah, that's an album they did, I want to say like 1973, 1974, but it's Open Our Eyes. That was the title of that album.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, then we also do a version by Jesse Dixon. We also have another version by Thompson Community Choir, which I didn't realize had done that. But yeah, the two that we feature is either the Gospel Clefs, which is the original song, Open Our Eyes, or Earth, Wind, and Fire's Open Our Eyes.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And caller, welcome to the program. And that's what they're using for the promo for Mr. Jones. Yep. Caller, welcome to the program. Yep.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Hey, I saw you yesterday, man. You were
an apology after he clowned me so bad Friday.
Okay, but I saw you yesterday, man. You were leaving the park when I was coming.
Oh,
yeah.
So that was me.
Man,
that was a guy cloned like me. That
almost dropped the N-word. Yeah, it was you. What an incognito. It was you. Yeah, it was because you
What
left
was on the chessboard?
No, you left about 4, right?
Yeah, was I on that chessboard?
No, you were leaving the park, man.
Oh, I was getting out of there. Okay, yeah, okay.
So what happened Friday, brother?
Hey man, you said some mean thing. You said this is the second time you did that right out.
What I do?
This is the most craziest thing I ever heard in my life. This dude,
yeah, man, that was the dumbest. That was the dumb, like THEE.
But you know what? Right out, it was not. That's why I called for my apology because I know you checked in.
You know, it's funny.
It was a bad time to do that after I thought about it. You know, and I remember because it was Father's Day, and I remember, and I'm gonna tell you something. I remember Mr. Jones scolding me one time down at the office because I was there and I said something that he said, "Why you even say it? Why you didn't even have to? It wasn't necessary to say it." And the dude was right. And yesterday, Friday, knowing it was Father's Day, to drop a load like that was not the right time. You know, but at the same time, right out with my apology, man.
Brother. You know what?
You ain't man enough to say, "Hey, man,
just apologize, man."
There you go.
Just apologize, bro.
No, you apologizing for him, Keith.
I'm employing him to apologize so we can move on, man.
I know, but you basically put.
You got to let me apologize,
you
brother.
shouldn't even have to do that. He's supposed to realize
Hey,
that,
Meech,
man.
if you stop right now, you're gonna get your apology.
Man, God,
dog,
bro. Brother. Meech.
Okay, brother.
Brother, I want to tell you.
Now pull yourself together. When I come through there with some information, you get fact checked already. You ain't man.
You ain't give a chance to say nothing.
Can I just get a little theological on you, brother? Have you ever talked yourself out of a blessing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you ever talked yourself out of a blessing?
I have.
Okay, there you go. Go on, bro.
Okay,
brother, man, I'm out, man. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Do it. You might be able to get it in.
Meech, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, Keith, back to you.
Man, one time Rhonda said something to me, man. It just tore me up emotionally, man. It tore me up. It tore me up so much it was on a Sunday. I couldn't even go to church. It tore me up, man. I'm downstairs and the man came in a fetal position. She didn't mess me all up. So she come down the stairs and she peeked over the rail and she said, "Well, I'm sorry if what I said upset you."
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the apology again. I'm sorry if what I said offended you.
You know I'm upset.
You're not sorry for what you said. You're sorry for my reaction.
Your feelings.
Right, for what you said. Yeah. So, I'd have been there, man. You get your feelings and
it's rough on me.
Call her up to the program.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. What's happening?
Anytime you have an apology and there's an if or a but, do y'all agree that that negates the apology?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
I had a young lady who spoke to me at work in a way one time where she wound up getting herself fired. In the midst of her apology, she began cursing and swearing, and managers heard her. So she got fired about it. So yeah, I don't think a if or a but Black MAGA is a cult, and so when they talk about having a dialogue, it means only them speaking MAGA talking points. And so I am continuing extending Father's Day weekend through Juneteenth, week through Juneteenth at least. So it'll be about 5 days. So I will not mention our dear brother's name, but I will continue to pray for him so that he learns the definitions of certain words. And so that, he go back, he might have an old biology book from Milwaukee, Washington, somewhere in his basement or attic. And he looks at it and realizes that, as Jermaine said, that is the dumbest thing that we all have ever heard. And if y'all remember on Friday, wasn't Debo saying this is real heavy?
Yeah.
If he had ears that would listen when he's speaking, he would have heard Debo say this is real heavy and maybe transition. But you don't expect people who think you're supposed to throw senators down on the floor and then lie about it and say that they provoke being abused by ICE. When it's illegal to put your hands on a senator. in that way. They have a right to ask questions of
and you know what else is happening now?
Yes, sir.
Clarence Avant, they call him the Black Godfather, says always it's always the numbers. It's always the numbers, right? And so we get into these things where we get into our feelings and stuff and get into the emotion of the moment. The numbers are beginning to manifest themselves. So you notice now that the ICE raids will no longer be at meatpacking plants. It will no longer be on farms or hotels, because undocumented labor is a crucial part of our economic system. The idea that you're going to kick out 14 million people and then realize that many of these people are working because you're trying to push an emotional, cultural issue that resonates with people. But at the same time, when people are going like, wow, man, how come we don't have any strawberries? Oh, because you deported all the people who picked the damn strawberries.
Yeah.
And Americans ain't lining up. I was just watching them. They did something up at a strawberry, because they did do a strawberry festival up this way. And they saw those people. Can you imagine you have to bend over? Yeah. That's what you're doing all day to pick strawberries. They don't grow 6 feet high. Yeah. They don't go 3 feet high. You got to definitely, same thing with cabbage. Yeah. Same thing with lettuce. So when people are talking about this, but it emotionally, it plays to our prejudices that we have. And so then people go like, yeah, because the image of an undocumented person in this country is one who looks Hispanic, when the reality is that the most violated rule are people overstaying their visas who probably are not Hispanic. So
maybe from Slavic countries like Bosnia, who came over here, when they were having their conflict over there and never left.
Right.
But are undocumented.
Yeah. And if they're there, and I don't know if they have a carve out in terms of the refugee program. I know a lot of the emergency refugee programs that cover Cubans, Haitians, people from Central America. Trump has just gotten rid of that. So they want to kick these people out. But here's the point. They're working. They're a vital part of our economy. And so if you sit up thinking now you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, is that the numbers, man, the numbers don't lie. And we get so emotional and so superstitious. That was the whole thing about the argument that what he made, if I get a woman pregnant, my DNA does not become part of her DNA.
So does that work in reverse? And sometimes that individual, whose name I again won't mention, maybe he's been with so many women that their DNA has gone into him to make him as emotional to call and
I ain't gonna put that on Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. No, man, no. If I said that happened to him, then it would verify his incorrect, erroneous scientific biological. So no, I have to say no on that so we can be consistent. Just saying. No, man. Well, you know what, man? I look. I'd have walked. Maybe I missed some classes where certain things happen, but reading is fundamental. Because what he tell us to look it up? Like, Negro, you called in with the fact. I ain't looking it up. Did you look it up before you called it? Yeah.
Where did you get that information?
Yeah. Just tell me where you got it, then I'll go look at it. But on a more serious tip, that's why I know I get into trouble with some folks. Know the difference between your beliefs and facts.
And your fact. Your faith versus fact.
Faith versus fact. Belief versus fact. Feeling versus
fact. Would you say that fact without work is futile as well? You can know a fact but if you can't prove where you found it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's not a fact just because I can't find where it is. That's a whole other thing. Like it's like here it is. The world kind of revolves around me, when the reality is that I'm only a part of existence. So yeah, there's information out there that a lot of times, and I remember a brother called me and he said, well, what kind of preacher are you? I said, one that reads. I mean, because that's where it starts. You know, I mean, but we get into things and it doesn't make and now I'm back on Keon. It doesn't make God any less God because we have facts. We live in a material world, man. I mean that's and whether and you can run around believing something else, but that's not based in fact. We live in a material world. People say, well, it was a fact today. It could change. Me and my buddy was talking about, you guys remember Dick Tracy?
Yeah.
I just love Dick Tracy.
What is one of the pieces of technology now that we have that we used to think was science fiction with Dick Tracy?
Didn't he have a cell phone?
Yeah.
No.
He had his watch or something like that.
Talking to your watch.
Yeah.
And your watch could get phone calls.
Yeah.
That was science fiction.
Yeah, sure was.
It's reality now.
And that's crazy because Dick Tracy came out when? Like
Oh,
the
man,
80s,
back in the
70s?
before that. He was in the 30s.
He was in the 30s. He sure was.
He was in the 30s. And then when he started doing
scary.
That's what I'm saying. My buddy was talking about yesterday. We was talking about AI.
That's scary.
And there's a couple of movies out there. I think 2001 Space Odyssey is kind of where artificial intelligence, we lose control of it. Now it's controlling the situation.
So what's that?
iRobot. So he was saying like, yeah, man, because he's a big Terminator fan. He said it's gonna be like the Terminator. I said, dude, I don't think we're gonna be around if it ever gets to that kind of apocalyptic kind of piece. But yeah, I mean that. So I'm just saying, people accept it. It don't make God any less God. You know, I mean, I don't know where we get that. And then I'm gonna say this, and I say it every chance I get: stop looking at the Bible as a book of science because it is not.
Would you say that growing in knowledge in conjunction with faith is what the OJs was talking about when they said climbing the stairway to heaven?
Yeah. I think, it's something that's interesting you said that, bro, because there's a quote I remember from, ironically, Mary Ellen Fine. She was my English teacher at Dominican, and we were having this conversation. It was real interesting because Miss Fine was a Lutheran married to a Jewish guy. Her husband was Judge Fine, Ralph Adam Fine. Yeah. That was her husband. Yeah. And we were having this conversation about technology. Now, again, this is in the 70s. She said something that I just thought, it stayed with me, obviously, for over 50 years. She said that man has to spiritually keep up with technology. Technology presents opportunity, but opportunity also means that, for example, technology means that we're going to displace physical labor, right? You know, right. I mean, that's what technology, but we benefit from it. But the collateral damage is that human beings might lose their jobs. You know, that idea, or they're making the argument that if we can bring manufacturing back to America, we couldn't afford it. And guess what? We live in an interconnected world. That little skirmish between Israel and Iran, we're going to feel the impact here because just check today or tomorrow, your gasoline price is about to go up. They are going up, but you're going to feel it at the pump in the next 2 to 3 days. So we're connected on a lot of different ways, but it really is fact. Emotion drives a lot of it, but I think we just have to be careful sometimes. And look, I'm not trying to say emotions are not important. They really are. But when people are, oh man, the facts change. No, we might have a different understanding. We might be exposed to more, but the basic fact is probably still there. Last time I checked, this table is hard.
Right.
Now, I can feel that it ain't, but when I run into it, I'm going to find out that it's in fact hard.
One more fact, man, before I go.
Yes,
Ben Simmons couldn't shoot before he met Doc Rivers.
Yeah, that's true.
And if he got more afraid to shoot because Doc Rivers was willing to admit that in the interview, I think that speaks to his desire for the game and that mental piece that Michael Jordan talked about, how, and that we could see like maybe the difference in him and say Dominique Wilkins or Charles Barkley, that
let
made
me ask
him
you this question. How much do you think is the mind? How much do you really think?
A lot of it, because when the other players believe in you, like Shea Gilgeous, when everybody in the gym knows you're gonna back this dude down, you're gonna take the same shot that Mike and Kobe would take, even if you travel. The refs looked at it and it looked so good that he didn't. The ref didn't care that the man almost fell and took 4 steps.
All right, just a point of clarity here. When was the last traveling call you heard in the NBA? I'll wait.
Long time.
And you be going like he traveled.
I ain't never saw this.
He traveled, man.
Man.
You hear the bench yelling he traveled, but because it'll slow the game down.
Yeah.
I mean, it would look like an 8th grade basketball game. We call every travel. If you call every foul.
Yeah, man, that's like
by definition. Hey, Keith, by definition, the Euro step is a travel. If you do the Euro step right, you have traveled.
Right. And maybe we need to change the traveling rule.
I mean, take 4 steps now, because
now we did change the carry rule because of Allen Iverson,
and they only changed that because Michael Jordan went and complained after he got crossed.
Oh man,
Jordan went and complained, and they
he crossed. That's still one of the nastiest crosses I've ever seen in my whole life. And guess what? He's going back right.
Yeah,
Jordan. Man, that was so awful, man. I felt so bad.
I've never seen Mike look more goofy.
Oh, dude.
And then he go complain to the league after that.
Yeah, because Mike is the shutdown guy, right? I remember who was it? Oh, Kawhi Leonard. When he was a rookie, he was with San Antonio. Yeah. And it was Danny Green. Yeah. Danny Green was killing Miami. There was no answer. Yeah. Oh, here comes the answer. LeBron James. LeBron James shut him down. It was like, okay, that was Jordan. If Jordan made up his mind to defend you, you're not going to score.
Because you can't catch the ball.
No, just his ability to anticipate. But yeah, man, that is, other than that, you. So look, Tyrone Lue is in real good company, right?
Yeah,
because he's also part. He's part of the AI highlight reel.
Yes,
it's like John Starks, Charles Oakley, and Patrick Ewing when Jordan dunked on him. Dunked on all 3 of them.
Spun back and then spun back the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
And then turned around and looked at you and like, what? What? Who was it? Was it Larry Bird who got mad when you put white players on him? And I guess
did he get mad?
Yeah, he's playing Milwaukee and they put Fred Roberts on him.
Oh my God!
And he going by the bench. I can't believe you put Fred Roberts on me.
And he was killing.
He was killing him. All right, man. Appreciate you, man, as always. You're listening to Community Voice Caller. I see you. I'm going to grab you right after the break. We'll be right back.
WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. Caller, we really thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good. Happy Monday. I was going to ask you, with all this chaos going on and how everybody acting so discombobulated like they done did some, devil dust, well, it'll fit and all. Have you noticed how all these people are highly religious and Christian nationalists? And so my thing is, where is your, these for the Black Trump supporters, where is this so-called God? Because they seem like they so bitter, they so angry, they so full of hate, but yet they also say they're all about the Bible. Because, back in history, a lot of people died because, they were killed in the honor of Jesus. Yet they always want to put their Christian in it.
I agree. Last week when Meach was finishing, he was saying, what Christianity? Why are you attacking Christianity? And I am not talking about the tenets of Christianity. I'm talking about us as practitioners of Christianity. There's a real big difference. There's the ideal, that's behind Christian belief, and then there's the actual practice. And there's a big gulf between the ideal and the actual practice. And then I pointed out, I don't know if you heard him, the problem is with white Jesus. That's the problem. I just saw this guy. He just preached a message on the problem with white Jesus. White Jesus supports white nationalism, right? So what you do is, and that becomes very dangerous. Pastor Lanier was on, and he read that the Black Psychologists Association back in the 70s came out with the problem with the image of Jesus being white and God being white. So I agree with you that it has very little to do with Jesus other than Jesus being iconic. And this really puts me at loggerheads with some of the folks, because in some ways I do have a problem with the cross and how we use the cross as a symbol. It's uncomfortable for me. This is Keith speaking, because the cross, and Dr. James Combs wrote the book, The Cross and the Lynching Tree, because Jesus was lynched. That was the crucifixion. And so when I kind of look at the cross, Keon used to say, you don't walk around with a noose around your neck. I thought, so it becomes problematic because of the symbols, how these symbols are being used. And I think that when you wrap it up in God, when you say God says it, people back up.
Yeah, and then the other thing I noticed too, a lot of these people making these noises, a lot of them came from immigrants, like that Valtina Gomez lady. She came from Colombia, DeSantis. She came over the ocean because, that immigration bill, they sent her back and her box.
But DeSantis is of Cuban descent.
Yeah, so all these people, speaking all this. And then the other thing is, I know they brung up the transgender, but I know they brung up that, Barron. Barron likes chicks with big old long sticks, but I know they've been very quiet about that.
Okay, all right, gotcha. All right, okay.
So it ain't no cookie cucker, ain't no baby making in the middle, because that one don't got a cookie. They got nuts and peanuts.
Oh,
all right, have a
appreciate you, Al. Thank you, as always.
What is wrong with that?
He reminded me of that, and I can't even go through it. But in Ted, when he went and discovered the dudes pouring on his computer, and they were having this conversation, and they talk about this whole thing, and I'm gonna use not use what it's actually called, chicks with sticks.
Oh
no, he said no, these are dudes with breasts. These dudes with breasts. Yeah. It came up yesterday. Somebody asked, well, how many genders are there? And people said 2. And my wife, who, like myself, have kind of had some reproductive health education training, understands that the spectrum says that though we might come with this, the spectrum is really wide in terms of then how people actualize their sexuality, and that's hard for people. So what the brother was saying was, well, the Bible says that is too. I said, there you go. You can't use the Bible as a book of science. Now, if you actually go in and bother to read and do research, you'll find that we do have these spectrum. They call it the spectrum, or what is not called spectrum. It's called something where, you have heterosexual and then you have homosexual. And then you have everything in the middle. I don't want to go down.
No.
So
I just want to ask you. So you say it is. So what's metrosexual?
Metrosexual were that wasn't a sexual orientation. That was more straight men who were very well dressed, very meticulous in their dress. The skincare, the whole thing. So I think that's where metrosexual came along. But it's cool. It's cool. Try to understand it, based on how we were raised. But I know when we were doing work around trying to come up with a curriculum for churches to teach about reproductive health, I was listening to a guy on the Nazi Net yesterday, Newsmax, and he was saying that, when they come in and they're going around here and they're trying to use these euphemisms, and I'm gonna use the word because I think the word is instructive. Just because you believe it, don't make it a fact, and it don't make it true. And so I think we have been programmed. Part of the discussion we have around fatherhood is that traditionally in many societies, fatherhood was just basically providing and protecting. It wasn't the nurturing. It wasn't all these other things. And here's what's real interesting. Are you a granddad?
Yeah.
As grandfathers, we do a different form of expressing. Hug the kids, tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
Now, if you was raising a son, you coming up. Come on, y'all know it. On the rough side. I walked 4 miles to school in the snow. They might take me to school. Well, we had to. But trust me, if there was a car I could get in to go to school, I'm getting in that car. Really, we were talking about this yesterday about how we used to talk about how fights used to break out after high school football games, after AFY games. And he said, the kids are shooting today. I said, here's the difference. We didn't have the guns. Because if we had the guns, we going to use the guns. We didn't have them.
So we had sticks, right.
So you had to pick up a brick. Nunchucks.
Brass
knuckles. Yeah. I mean, that's all you had. Bow and arrows. Yeah. That's all you had. Now they got AK-47s
with a switch on it, so it's gonna shoot 90 bullets.
But then I also told, and I have this whole thing about, and excuse me using this language, but I think it's called nigger rules.
Yeah.
Certain rules we put in place. Yeah. I mean, we didn't, but rules were put in place that has a disproportionate negative impact on Black people.
That's true.
Right? In America, any case that goes before the Supreme Court on the Second Amendment and your right to bear arms, right? I mean, they're letting people do bump stocks. We don't know what's going to happen with ghost guns. I mean, all these things, because the Second Amendment is sacrosanct. I think that's the word. That we don't violate that, and we give full expansion, except states like Wisconsin that will put on the books that a convicted felon cannot own a firearm.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, if my felony was related to a violent crime or a crime where a firearm was used, but if I'm going on, let's see,
child support,
that would be that's the low-hanging fruit.
Child support.
What's they got to do with you being able, because you're certainly not a violent criminal.
And on top of that, Keith, for some of these people that has those little small, I call them misdemeanor felonies, with the way things are in the city and in the neighborhoods, how are you supposed to protect your family? How are you supposed to protect yourself?
That's the reality.
Because again, you would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And that's the mind frame that
preacher.
Man, that's the mind frame that people are really operating off of because, again, I'm gonna protect mine.
Most Americans operate. So what happens though is that when we look at gun violence, right, and we go like, well, what they're doing, look, there's business surrounding guns, and now we got some people on some dumb stuff. I got all of that. But when we really saw the proliferation of certain types of firearms in our community, it came in conjunction with the explosion of the drug trade.
Yep. And on top of that, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because, again, with all of these guns that's in the neighborhood, that's flooded in our neighborhoods, and now that with the internet and the ghost guns, and you can pretty much buy the gun in pieces and put it together yourself. Straw buyers. My thing is back then, how did all of these AK-47s and these Tech 9s that people was carrying, how did it get into the hood?
Freeway said, what was my guy, Freeway Ricky?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Freeway Ricky?
Yeah.
Rick
Ross? Ricky Freeway.
Yeah. He was saying
trains.
That the trains came in
and left them.
And they didn't even lock the doors.
And that's true, man.
They didn't lock the doors.
So you give us this so we can destroy ourselves, knowing that it's already limited in the hood. So you're limited in the hood. So now you got these people operating like that. So imagine you on papers, you a felon for something stupid that is not even violent. Somebody breaking in your house that has a gun, you got your family. You're not going to stand there like,
you know I'm a felon.
Man, I'm on papers, man, so we going to have to fight. Yeah. Man, you getting shot. Right. See you next lifetime.
And then for some folks, that's a reality. I mean, that when you look and say, like the kids who are taking guns to school because they've been bullied.
Yeah, man.
You know, I mean, again, and so do we expand that? And that's just, look, there are more guns in this country than people. There are more guns in America than there are books in the world.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, it is part of our culture. And you know what? In some ways, I don't know how many people are fans of CSIs and the Law and Order. And I'm telling them, in my mind, y'all, that's kind of like subliminal propaganda. You know, where you go out and it's the others and the people out there creating crimes. I was watching this thing on HBO called The Mortician.
Oh my God,
dude, have you seen it?
I saw the preview.
Dude, this is crazy.
I saw it.
What this dude was doing, you know, the whole cremation business, and how he was just, you know, because if I'm going to be cremated, as I've been told I would be, they put me in the oven by myself. And when the ashes come out, they're my ashes. This dude was putting 8 bodies in there, 9 bodies in there.
I heard about that.
Oh, man. I mean, to the point that he was doing like these incredible numbers of cremations. But then the number of people in California that wanted cremation, it was a market.
So you mean to tell me, Keith, you're going to go in the oven twice?
They are burying me face down so I can see where I'm going.
You going to the oven twice?
Why is he buried face down? He just trying to see where he's going.
Trying to check his temperature.
Check the dog. Gary getting hot. So put a fan in there, cause. But this dude was going in and taking people's gold fillings.
Oh yeah.
And then people didn't, because you don't read the fine print.
Yeah.
And they put in that they could harvest your organs without basically the family giving them permission to take the organs. So they're harvesting organs.
So how did people find out? Because it's kind of
the first time they found out was the crematorium he had in California burned down. And the reason why the crematorium burned down, the dudes when it got hot.
Oh, I left the niggas left them in the
And that's what he was saying. He said they went and smoked their drugs and the place is burning down, right? Dude said it, said, yeah, man, we would got high.
Oh,
you know, so, and then he bought a place in, I think, Nevada, Arizona, that he was making it like it was ceramic plant, but it wasn't. he was burning up bodies.
Oh my
and
God!
And people going like, the smell from here, the smoke. That ain't how ceramics is done. So then they were finally doing an investigation. Allegations that he killed competitors. His mama, his daddy was involved with it. Oh man, it was. And then when they show you the ovens, because at one point one of the newspapers called him the Nazi. Oh my God. Right, because of crematoriums, and everybody knows that during World War II, you know, those camps, those death camps. But yeah, man, I was like, wow. And then here's the thing. Dude didn't care. He didn't give a. He didn't care. Wow. For every, I started off the program talking about a virtual this saint, but there's some sinners out there.
There's a whole lot,
man. Sometimes it's me. Let me thank Debo. Byron, thank you. Jermaine, thank you. All right. The good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.